I want to be honest, the way that they uploaded these pictures is probably not the best because it takes some interpretation, but I know all the guns well enough that I can figure out what each of these is. So we are going to do our Call of Duty mobile gun tier list, which we have not done in a hot minute. I can't remember last time I did one of these. This was actually one of the first videos that ever blew up on my channel. I think I did one like October of 2019, and that was one of the first videos that actually did really well. This, for those of you who can't tell, is an M4. I know Muhammad is in chat. I know he loves the M4, so I'm gonna try not to be too mean, but the M4... I'm trying to decide B or C. It's not D tier. It's definitely better than D tier. I would put it like toward the top of C tier. It's just not... The damage output isn't there, you know? It's definitely close to B tier. It's either bottom of B... You know what? For Muhammad, I'll put it bottom of D tier instead of top. I consider the Type 25 to be a C tier gun. For the lack of mobility that it has, it just doesn't have enough range. So it has high damage output but bad mobility, and it's pretty much unusable at mid to long range. So I would put the Type 25 as C tier. M16 is D tier. I won't consider it trash/troll, but you've got to be an absolute monster to make that thing work. AK-117, right now I'd say the AK-117 is probably A tier. And for those of you who are watching this, this is for multiplayer, not for Battle Royale. If you want me to do a Battle Royale tier list, let me know down in the comments. I would say AK-117 is like low A tier. It's actually a gun that a lot of pros have been using recently. You got to be very, very accurate, but if you're accurate, it's definitely viable. AK-47, probably like bottom C tier. Unless you're able to really consistently hit headshots, it doesn't do what it needs to do. It's really good in Battle Royale, I know that, but the 33 damage, it's so close to being good. Not quite there. ASM-10, definitely still an A-tier gun. I would say it's very underrated. Everybody pretty much stopped using it completely after the last couple nerfs, but it's definitely still viable. It's a 3-shot AR. You can put a few different attachments. It's definitely, people are saying S tier. It's definitely not S tier, but it's definitely an A. BK-57, I have that like right above the M4, I would say. It can absolutely beam. The thing with the BK-57 is you got to be really, really accurate with your first 10 shots. If you miss those first 10 shots, it starts to get really, really inaccurate. But it's definitely very viable. LK-24, I would say, is A tier as well. It's right there with the AK-117 as one of the guns. Yes? Okay, that's fine. Love you too. Yeah, LK, definitely a good option, and probably the best long-range AR in the game just because it's so consistent. ICR, probably another B-tier gun. I have it above the M4. It's more consistent as far as damage output. Like, you can 4-shot, you can't 4-shot with the M4. Obviously, the ADS bullet spread is a little bit lacking, but it is what it is. Despite the nerf, Man of War is definitely still S tier. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. The only significant nerfs were to the attachments on it, and the gun itself is definitely still really, really, really good. KN-44. I have the KN-44 high B tier. It's not quite where it needs to be in regards to recoil in order to be an A tier, but I really enjoy using the gun. I definitely have it up there in the A tier. Or in the high B tier, sorry, correction. HBR is either C or D. It's not quite bad enough to be a D tier gun. I'll put it low C tier. It just doesn't have good anything. It's very, very mediocre in every way, shape, or form. There's just not really much of a reason to ever use it in BR or in multiplayer, really. HVK is probably going to go at the bottom of S tier. It's another one of those very high skill weapons, but if you're able to land consistent upper body and headshots, it's just an absolute, it just melts everybody. DRH is definitely still up there too. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, you can't even shoot straight with the DRH because of the bullet spray. I'm sorry. If you think this gun doesn't shoot straight, then you've never watched competitive Call of Duty Mobile. Straight up. It's definitely still a really, really good gun. Definitely in my top 5. For the most part, probably S tier is just going to be my top 5 guns. Peacekeeper, I think the Peacekeeper is really underrated. I have it at low A tier. I think people will probably say that it's worse, but it's extremely versatile. With the rapid-fire barrel, it can kill crazy fast. With the long-range barrel, it's viable at long range. It has really good ADS bullet spread. It's a really good gun, like, straight up. FR556, I'll probably put it in between the KN and the BK in B tier. This is, the FR is a mid-range machine, so it's not great at long range, it's not great at close range, but it dominates in the mid-range, so because of that, obviously, you're not quite as much able to control whether or not you're taking mid-range gunfights, but that's why I have it there. ASVAL I have in D tier. I know people are like, oh man, they buffed the ASVAL. It's so good now. It's not. Somebody said ASVAL bottom A. Are you capping right now? No shot. They slowed down the time to kill on it. It's absolutely D tier. I would rather use an HBR over the ASVAL. ASVAL is so bad. That's actually crazy. People don't think at low C. I mean, it's unusable at mid to long range, and it's an AR. And only has, if you put an extended mag on it. If you put an extended mag on it, then it has 30 rounds in it. All right, people are getting mad. I'll put it low C. XPR, I would love for it to be good. It's higher than the, I mean, if you're like a crazy accurate sniper, the XPR can be good, but for the most part, it's just not it. Arctic 50 post-nerf is still A tier. If you're bad at the game, put stopping power on the Arctic 50, and there you go. This is the M21, I believe. That'll be D tier as well. Honestly, M21 probably belongs in trash/troll. The only way to one-shot with it is a headshot. No, I'll put it right there. I don't think I'm going to put anything in the trash/troll category. I'm probably going to have more than 5 guns in S tier just because it is... Oh, I'll put the NA45 in trash/troll. There we go. Yeah, DLQ and Locust both go in S tier. You can disagree with that as much as you want to, but right now, snipers, insta-kill from anywhere, ADS faster than SMGs. I mean, that's like all you need to know. Obviously, not as easy for beginner players to use, but they're without a doubt S tier. NA45, trash/troll. Outlaw, I'll put in A tier. It's the best aggressive sniper. It's obviously got its downsides because it's the only one that has damage drop off to the hands. So you got to be aware of that, and that's the main reason why I don't have it in S tier. But it's definitely the best aggressive sniper rifle in the game. After that, S36, that's D tier, no question. There's no reason to ever use the S36. UL's probably C tier. Right here, I mean, all the C tier guns are pretty interchangeable. The thing about a C tier gun is if you're going to use it, just use it because you have fun using it. Like, there's not any... pretty much all LMGs... not all LMGs. The M4 LMG with the 40-round mag is actually pretty good. I'll probably put that in B tier. It's definitely not an A tier. Chopper, definitely similar as well. I put the Chopper toward, like, bottom of B tier, I would say. It's gotten a lot of nerfs, but it's still definitely viable. RUS, I've got the RUS in B tier. I know a lot of people love the RUS. It's one of the guns that's been viable in the game for the longest time. Time to kill is just not there. ADS time isn't amazing. In order to build it out well, you're usually going to end up having to sacrifice something. So I got to put it down in B tier. This is the Chickum. Obviously, Chickum is D tier. It's a burst SMG for those of you who don't know. PDW, C tier. Not quite in D. There's a lot of SMGs that are going to be in the C tier category where in order to make it viable in regards to damage and range, you have to sacrifice all your ADS speed and your mobility. So that's why the PDW's in C. Razorback is probably like high C. I know it got the new attachment and everything, but it's still just not there in regards to the recoil, ADS time, etc., etc. MSMC, I'd probably put like middle B. Crazy fast time to kill. The build I used the other day. There's something about that build that I used from TikTok. It was just freaking ridiculous. I'll definitely put that in B tier. HG40, high C, low B, high C, low B. It's probably a low B tier. Just the damage drop off in the lethal zones make it a little bit more difficult to use. Pharaoh, definitely C tier. You can make it viable, but you got to be a crazy good rusher in order to make it happen. GKS, I've got in B tier. It's not gonna... The time to kill isn't going to top anything in A tier, but there's just something about the GKS. Like, statistically, the GKS doesn't have anything crazy about it. It just feels good. You know? I don't understand why. Oh, yeah, definitely better than the RUS, though. I gotta reorder some of that. I have it, yeah, like, it's right there with the KN. Like, both of those, I really love using them. They just don't quite make the cut in regards to competitive. Chordite, low C tier, definitely above the AS Val, but it's another one of those SMGs where in order to make the damage/range viable, you got to sacrifice all your ADS time and your mobility. QQ9 is S tier. I didn't mean to put that in B. I was just trying to scroll all the way up. Best gun in the game, no question. It's not even up for debate. Fennec's probably A tier. I think the Fennec's pretty underrated right now, too. The single Fennec kills very, very fast. It's more stable than the MSMC. Really good mobility. You got some good attachment options. You see it in competitive every once in a while. Definitely up there in A tier for me. The AGR is another one of those, like, solid... It's a solid B tier gun. It's not going to outgun anything in A tier, but definitely really fun to use. And, like, with a small buff, could definitely make it up there. Somebody said GKS over QQ9 any day. LOL. Sure. QXR, A tier as well. Probably the second best SMG in the game just because the combination of damage output and range. Obviously can't quite compete with the QQ9, but is definitely a really good secondary option. HS2126. I put this in D tier last time, and then Hitman dropped a nuke with it. I'm going to put it at the bottom of C tier just to make Hitman happy. All right, sound good, Hitman? Cool. By 15 is going to go... probably middle of B tier. By 15 and KRM. And honestly, the HS0405 are all kind of similar together in that you got to have really good movement, ability to close gaps, map awareness, and everything to make them work. But it's a shotgun. It's a one shot, one kill. And really, all three of those are very, very solid options that you can build out different ways and make them viable. Striker is Trash Troll. That's probably the only other gun I'll put in there. Just like, don't use it. Why would the reload time itself, I think, is reason enough. Echo just doesn't have any range. In BR, apparently, it's the God's gift to BR, but definitely C tier in multiplayer. Kilo, there's no reason to use the Kilo over really any sniper in the game. ADS time isn't that good. Lethal zones aren't that good. Kilo just goes in C tier for me. There's not really much of a reason to use it. SKS, I'm going to put in B. It's a very high skill gap weapon, so if you're able to consistently land the upper body shots, headshots, one shot, one kill. So the SKS definitely goes up there for me in B tier, but it has some downsides as well. SPR, probably B tier as well. Really good beginner sniper just because of the lethal zones. Rate of fire is definitely the big downside that prevents me from putting it up here with the rest of those snipers, but also a nice option. It's tough to put pistols into these. I'm not gonna rank these because you can't rank secondaries alongside primaries, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave this as it is. But yeah, for those of you who want to make a tier list for yourself and put it on the Bobby Reacts subreddit, I'll be sure to put the link for the tier list down in the description. There we go.